Every year, you have a choice. One that says staying independent and family-owned means something on your farm. So plant your independence. Plant Wyffels.
Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the season for the new podcast of the Cyclone Fanatic Network, which is InCYde Zone. I'm Jacqueline Cordova, and I'm joined by Colin Newell, Jake Remsburg, and Jirehl Brock, all former Iowa State athletes, football players. Guys, I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I think fans will be really excited this season to hear from your perspective as guys who used to be in the locker room, on the field. Iowa State kicked things off yesterday against North Dakota. They won 21-3. I mean, I would love to kick things off just asking what your thoughts were. I can start with Colin since he's to my right on the screen. So I can start there and then we can go around the circle and just get your initial thoughts and takeaways from Iowa State's performance yesterday.
Yeah, well, excited to be on here, guys. Excited for Jirehl and Remy to join us this year. Cyclones are 1-0 right now, right? Obviously, there's some things that are key topics that we're going to talk about here. Caleb Bacon is obviously a key player for the Cyclones, has proved himself time in and time out, and his story is just a phenomenal one. Saw some big plays happen, obviously exciting starting drive, but certainly looking forward to talking about it in a little more depth here as we go.
Yeah, I mean, you got it, Jay.
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
No, it's all you, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's about as a first game as they get especially for Iowa State. You know, starting off the year, every year is kind of weird with that first one being right before the Iowa game. You're kind of looking forward, but you're trying not to. North Dakota, you know, a team that never played before ever. I think this is the first game between Iowa State and North Dakota ever before. So it was a good one. Definitely glad we got the win. But obviously there's things that you can improve on every week, and you know we'll talk about those.
Yeah, from my end, I mean, first games are always weird. They always will be. It's different. It's just a new environment you haven't been in for a couple months, and regardless, I think Iowa State accomplished what you need to get accomplished in a first game. You're 1-0. You got a good amount of guys in the game, and it's really about getting back on the field against another opponent and getting those things ironed out for week 2. So you got what you accomplished. So I thought all in all, good day, to be honest.
When you guys head into that first game of the season, is it like a big adjustment? I mean, you haven't been in a live game since December. Pending if you're in a bowl game, of course. And then you go through camp, but what is it, about 3 weeks of camp? You have some training over the summer. Is it just like a big adjustment when you head into that first game? I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll start. I think it certainly is. First of all, you have 61,000 screaming Cyclone fans, getting all excited. Everyone's jacked up to get back on the field. There's a little pregame jitters, and a lot of the Iowa State guys. Obviously, we have them from all around the country, but a lot of us are local. I know Remy and I can talk about that a little bit, but like that's we grew up going to that game. We were those fans, those kids on the hillside that were jacked up to see them. So it hits a little bit deeper for that first game when you're a local guy, I think. But certainly it's just like anything. You've gone 6 months of hitting your own teammates, working your butt off, going out there, getting ready to show what we've done, what we trained for. And it certainly does bring a whole new light to, just some loud music and practice to what fans are in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when first games, like for me, the first game you always are probably a little more excited than most other games because it's just been so long, and that can hurt sometimes because you don't when you're playing a game, you don't want your adrenaline and juice and excitement to get to a level that's too high and you can't execute. So first games, you're always like really pumped up, excited, fans are there, loud, you're ready to roll. And that's when sometimes errors can happen. Just little mental things, assignments. So really that first game, you get that first juice out of you and you kind of start to lock things in. Really not, second half or even second quarter. But yeah, first games they're fun. It's good to get out there and hit someone else. But they certainly have their challenges. So.
Yeah, I mean, and to allude more on what you were saying about hit someone else, like I know for me as a running back, like it was just get that first hit out of the way, and then I was ready to go for the rest of the game, the rest of the year. It's a little bit different than when you're in practice and just hitting people that you see every day, and then it's when you walk by in the locker room, it's all cool. It's different when you're on that field and you're playing against people that they're coming to knock your head off every time. Or for these guys in the trenches, they wrestling in there. It's a very physical game. So that first hit, that first side of contact,
it's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling. Knocks you straight into what you need, and all it is just football from there on. It's a kid's game after that.
How many times do you think you actually got tackled in practice, all the way fully, like in fall camp? It's only a couple of scrimmages, right?
There's like a few scrimmages, and then obviously there's those guys that are gonna take you down no matter what in practice, even if you're not supposed to. But nothing compares to when it's in a game and it's full speed, flying across the field. Other people are just coming to take your head off.
Yeah, it's kind of different when you're in the trenches a little bit than when you're a skill position. You don't get that contact until that first game. Remy and I were we were battling in there every day, and if you got someone on your back, that was a point of pride going into film. You gotta point that stuff out. So certainly a different perspective there for skill versus that. And part of that too to talk about is tackling, right? Those guys haven't had many opportunities to tackle on defense, so they're getting their first opportunity to tackle a guy who's running full speed and running through them, running around them, whatever it may be.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of like Newell was saying, like it's more of a physical thing with the skill guys, but it's more of a mental thing with the guys in the trenches. The false starts, jumping off sides, the small things like that. It's more mental with them because they have so much physical during practices in the summer and fall and. It's just the mental, making sure that they don't make those little mistakes, the ones that they don't think about when they're at practice, because it's all physical then.
Was there anything you guys did to like get yourselves like a specific type of ritual, a specific type of thing, or like a song or anything that you did before heading into the field, like that would get you ready for that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I started rituals literally Thursday night. So 2 days before. Jirehl can attest to this.
I was his roommate, man. The weekend. Oh my gosh.
Weekend Thursdays.
The weekend Thursdays, man.
So I was a big ritual guy. Like I had to have everything down to the T. Like it started Thursday, went into Friday. Like if it was a away game, I'd always get Starbucks. I don't know why. It was kind of my thing.
This guy, man.
Those are I love doing that. But same playlist before a game. I'm a big, when it comes to pregame playlists, I'm all gas with that. It's heavy metal. It's, you name it. So I love the rituals.
I was a lot more I was more of the visualization. I wanted it to be quiet. I mean, there was always music blowing in the background, and there'd be songs. I'm not I like music, but I'm not a music guy. There'd be music going, and I would recognize them. I'd be like, all right, hey, we're about 10 minutes out for game time, but this song's playing. Hey, we're about to run out, and this song's going. I couldn't tell you what the name of the song was, but I knew what time it was based off of the song that was playing. So I was definitely more of a visualization guy. I would sit down there. I would just try to think about what was going on, making sure that everything was clear in my head and ready to roll.
Newell was that calm guy. I mean, He would just be walking around the locker room. I was about ready to run through a brick wall, and Newell's just like, "Oh, another day in the office."
Someone had
Yeah,
to keep
I mean-
everything together.
I mean, I feel like for me, like it was the ritual started once we got like after the spirit walk, once we got to the stadium, like just I did everything before a game the same. Went and got warmed up in the weight room. I was listening to music the whole time. I was listening to R&B until, I'd go R&B until the 60-minute mark when we go onto the field. And then I would go to like whatever I was feeling at the time for real. But no, I mean, I wasn't as ritualistic as this guy Jake down here. I saw every single one of his. I was his roommate
You can
for
attest to
every.
it.
I was his roommate for every year in college. So, yeah, I know everything that guy did before a game.
What was your Starbucks order?
Okay. Let me tell you. When October came around, it's pumpkin spice season.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah, I'm a big fall guy. I love the fall, so I love everything about it.
I love it. Well, so Iowa State kicks things off. They score within 38 seconds. It was timed. I looked it up. What was going through your guys' head when you saw that? I don't care who goes first. You guys can choose. But Iowa State scores within 38 seconds. That's not very common. I don't have the exact count for past games prior to that. Maybe you guys remember the specific games you were in. If you don't, that's okay. But when that play happened, what was going through your head? How did you feel about overall how Iowa State was headed into that game?
I mean, coming out like that, you can't beat it. I was up in the stands. I was fired up. For those guys down there, if you're scoring the first two plays of the first game of the season, and those two plays were they weren't just like a long big run. They were deep balls, and they were great catches, and the crowd was going wild. It was awesome. So there's really not a better way to start the season. You can really use that to your advantage, but we kind of got calmed down. I'm sure we'll talk about the second quarter here in a bit, but
yeah, I mean, first thing that came to my mind with the first play was Jalen Newell. That's up for catch of the year. He had two guys draped on him.
That was insane.
Right.
Blur, they would say down in Florida. Blur, because he caught it over two dudes. That was a great catch. One, I don't know, that he pinned it to somebody's helmet and caught it that way. And then, the second ball to Jaden Higgins, that was a great ball by Rocco. But after that, I was just thinking Taylor Mauser, coming out his first two plays as an offensive coordinator. And I mean, we all know Mouse, that's just his personality with those two plays right there, just going for it. Yeah, I mean, great way to start the season. Couldn't ask for a better way to start the season, especially with, sometimes we get into those first games and then it's a stall, it's a 3-and-out after the first possession. So definitely better to get into the end zone, and especially that way, because I was electric.
Yeah, carrying off of that, the first thing I was thinking about, Mouse is coming out and he's just going to let it rip. So that was a fun thing to do. I think we're going to see some good stuff with that this year. Obviously, we got the talent at receiver. Rocco went out there and had a really great day, in my opinion, really efficient. But it was fun. I mean, the crowd was into it. We were right there, kind of like Remy says, right? That hype train. We had to make sure that we keep it going because there was some limited possessions in that game, really. But excitement. A couple plays later, you get the Abu hurdle. You get some sweet plays that get going there, and I think that's something that Iowa State can see. I think we can see Coach Mouse really being, hey, we need to make big plays and chunk yardage, because that's some way we can win. And I think we have a lot to look forward to that. Throughout the game, it was kind of a little bit choppy at times, just with how much time they controlled the ball, limited possessions. But I know we're going to get talking about that here in a little bit.
Well, Jirehl, you say that this was kind of typical Mouser behavior. I mean, you guys obviously know him better than any of us. We only know whatever he shows us, whatever we learn from him in interviews and availabilities over the seasons. What about that play makes it just kind of signature to who he is as a coach? What about him do you guys know that maybe we're not seeing?
I mean, I think it's just his personality. Like he's a big locker room guy. Like everybody in the locker room, if you ask anybody that's came through Iowa State, that like everybody loves Mouse. Like he's helped so many guys out in so many different ways, but just him as a football coach, I think that just shows his personality. Just because he's big, broad, he's not going to care. He's going to go out there first play, 40 yards. So like next play does it again. You know what I mean? So like that's just kind of who he is. That's what he's going to show us all year. And I bet.
I feel like a lot of coaches go out there first play. They're like, hey, let's run an inside zone, make it quick. Hey, first game jitters are out. Like we're playing ball now. Where Mouse, he's like, let's go sling the rock and make it. Let's score a touchdown in 38 seconds here and get the season going on 7-0. So I think that's just kind of who he is. He wants to go out there. He wants to win. He wants to have fun. So I think we're going to see a lot of loose, a lot of fun offense this year.
Yeah, I think Mouse has a swagger to him, and it's energy. It's around the building, and those first two plays, like that's the Mouse swagger. Like it's to a T. And I can tell you one thing: we loved it as players. Like Coach Mouse was the guy. He felt like the coach, but he also felt like you could go to him and just be a good friend, like good buddy to chat with and talk about whatever. So it's really helpful when you have a coach like that who you can everyone gets along with, everyone likes him. So when he went out with that yesterday, I was like, that's awesome. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because with all of us as players, like he started as a recruiting guide. So like us as players, like he was recruiting us, just 100%. Talking to us, trying to get us to come there. And when we came on visits, we were talking to him all the time, and he was always that fun, even keel type of guy. And then as we've grown as people and players, he's grown as a person and a coach, and we've just seen that together. And I think it's just propelled him into a different level with his offensive coaching ability.
When you guys look back at how the game went overall, obviously Iowa State won, but are there any specific plays that stuck out to you guys when you look back that you feel very inclined to discuss? Is there one specific moment in the game that you look back on when you think about yesterday?
I think the obviously the first two plays, but then I really thought we ran the ball pretty well. The Abu hurdle, another tone setter. I mean, that was ridiculous. And then, my offensive lineman itself, we had two O-linemen in the back of the line of scrimmage yesterday. So how about that? Like that's a cool play. Shout out Coach Ryan for that, because I know he designed that. So, but yeah, anytime you get some O-lineman in the backfield, that's a good play right there. So, but overall, yeah, I thought it was that Abu hurdle was crazy.
Yeah, I think just getting that stop on that 12.5-minute drive, not the stop, but limiting damage there. Obviously, they went on a roll. They're really efficient on third down, but saying, hey, we're going to bend but not break type situation. And then getting the ball back and driving down the field, scoring a touchdown. And the sack right before halftime was something that was like, hey, we took care of business here. Obviously, it was, you were trying to do what you could do in that limited second quarter, but made some plays there to go out and score some points, but also then make a big sack right before halftime, keep the time rolling, and not let them keep taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think these guys said it best. I would say the turnover, the interception by Bo, I think that was just a big one just for team morale, really. Just especially Coach Campbell, I know he's going to preach winning the turnover battle in games, and that's the one that put it over the top for us. Especially we took care of the ball the whole game. So that one interception is gonna, I think it might help the defense with some morale and help the defense try and get the next one next week for sure.
So when you guys kind of look back, so one that sticks out to me is that 12-minute in the second quarter. And North Dakota had the ball for 12 minutes, which I think is kind of insane, just having been on the field. I mean, from your guys' perspective, what does something like that do for you guys, especially being on offense? I mean, in the post game, they asked Rocco, like, what were you doing during those 12 minutes? And his answer was he was on the iPad, just trying to plan ahead, staying hydrated. Like, from your guys' perspective, what would you be, how do you work through that? How do you prepare for it? How do you think that impacts, the offense or the defense? I mean, they were out there for 12 minutes. That's kind of a really long time when you look at a football game. I mean, what's that like from your guys' perspective?
That's tough.
Yeah, that's really tough. I don't think, especially with how many third downs that were gotten on that drive, the amount of times that, the coaches have gotten the punt teams together. The players have grabbed their helmets to get on the field to go out for get ready for fourth down. It's just all those things happening on the sideline. It messes with your head. And then the defense is out there that whole time. I know they get tired. That's definitely something that, Iowa State's going to have to fix. It's just getting off the field on third downs.
I think it's something that can be, seen as a good practice moment, right? Obviously, next week we're going to see a team that's very similar to that. Going to try to take advantage, drain the clock. North Dakota a lot of times in that drive didn't snap the ball until under 10 seconds and the shot clock left. So that's something that we'll see this coming week as well. Limiting possessions and making sure that we can get into a roll and convert some of those third down stops. But also then make sure that we can stay fresh on defense and turn those stops into good field position going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to give credit to North Dakota too. Like, the execution on their end, they had a good game plan in place. I thought they pretty executed all day, really. So props to them. But I mean, as someone that's out there on defense, that's exhausting, especially when it's that hot out. Two, on the sidelines, it's not as big of a deal when it's August 31st, but in December, when you're sitting on the sidelines for 12 minutes, you get really tight. One, and so you always feel like you have to try to keep loose, keep stretching. But yeah, it takes away every bit of momentum that you thought you had from previous drives. So it can be really hard, especially when you're sitting on the sidelines and really doing nothing except looking at the scoreboard and kind of waiting for your turn. So coaches will come over and give cues or hey, we think we like this next drive, and then when it's that long, you're like, okay, I don't even remember what we talked about. So it can be really, really hard. So you're just kind of waiting around and hoping we get back on the field here soon.
How did you guys feel that Iowa State bounced back after it?
I mean, it's huge. I think they always, Coach Campbell, Coach Haycock, they always talk about bend, don't break. And that's always been a staple point that the defense has made is, bend, don't break, especially with they play a three down front. I mean, you kind of are asking to like bend, don't break, especially with, running the ball can be kind of easy on that sometimes if they don't get enough like pressure. So, they always take care of business once it gets down to that red zone and make sure that you're at least holding in a 3. So I think bend, don't break is always going to be the big one for them.
We came back after that and had some big plays, scored in just over 2 minutes, I think, right before half. So obviously got into a little bit of that like 4-minute offense where we were able to go down, make some big plays. I think that's another thing. Rocco Beck came out, offensive line did really good in pass protection. We had a couple of receivers go up, make some plays. And we're able to come out of that. That defense was out there for a long time there, 12 minutes. That's 20, 30 minutes in real time. And able to score in about 2 minutes with some big plays. So I think they handled that situation well. Obviously, we're going to see that throughout the season where a team gets on a run, they convert some third downs. So it's good teach tape for defense to be able to do that, but also the offense to know, hey, we got to come out once we gave up 3 points there. We got to be able to come out and start off fast and score fast if we need to.
Yeah, I was really impressed by how they bounced back. That's a tough deal. The offense, I thought it looked like they came back and looks like they didn't miss a blink. So you can't complain about that. And especially when you have something like that, you in the back of your head, you're kind of like, okay, we need to get a couple of first downs here. We cannot let our defense go back out. They're exhausted. They're trying to recover. We got to put together a couple plays here, a couple first downs. And I thought they did. So when that happens, it's a good thing.
So when you guys look at this game at the end of it, right? They won the game 21-3. It wasn't the prettiest win, and you guys have been part of those, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like a win is a win. But ultimately, what is it like winning a game that isn't always the prettiest, where there was some things that maybe you could have done better? I mean, what's that vibe like when you get in the locker room initially after leaving the field? What's it like when you kind of process it after you've gone home? What's that like from your perspective?
I think it's just important to take a minute to realize that, hey, winning a football game in college is really hard. Winning at Iowa State is really hard. We've all sat through a lot of seasons watching where Iowa State doesn't win that game 21-3. They don't.
Mhm.
They play close and maybe they win it, but I feel like I was never worried like, hey, Iowa State's not necessarily in control of this game. We're not going to go out and win it. I always felt confident knowing that, hey, we had guys that would go out there, make a play, do big things if they needed to. Obviously, you wish you could have scored some more points, seen some, 60 points, things like that. But they were in control the whole time. You got to go out there and you got to celebrate those little wins. And the best thing about it is you're watching film of a game that you actually played. You're going to go and get better. It's not watching film against Iowa State's defense. It's not watching film against Orange and Onyedem and all those guys. You're going out and you're seeing how you performed against somebody who has a job and you don't know what they're going to do. So I think that's the biggest thing is takeaway. Like, hey, we actually get time to spend over the next week, digest what happened. We got to win. We're 1-0. We took care of business there. But, hey, we actually get to look at the film, look in the mirror and say, hey, what are my deficiencies and what do we need to get better at? And that's all you can ask for in week one.
Yeah, I think, week one, you take it and you enjoy it. And because Newell's right, winning is hard. So you only get 12 guaranteed opportunities. You have to enjoy it at least a little bit. Now, is there a sour taste? Yeah, there might be. And you can use that to excel further. And, Campbell always told us, the biggest growth in college football is between weeks 1 and 2. So we're going to take this film, and they would have had meetings today. And whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever, you're going to take that and you're going to grow from it. Because Newell's right. Like, using game experience is the best experience there is. The game film of your own self, that's the test. So you got to use that and keep going forward. But I think that they should use that and be prepared for next Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it great. Just getting a game under your belt, especially for new guys who's never been to Iowa State, played at Iowa State. Even the guys that were here last year that never got to play. Just getting out there in front of real fans, a real atmosphere, all those things that come with the first. I think you just gotta take it and learn from it. Be ready for anything that comes at you. Take the coaching that comes with it, and just take it and run with it. There's always, whenever you're here at Iowa State, the big game is always that next week. So you have to just remember to take it and learn, and just get better for next week.
So obviously a really big story that came out of yesterday was Caleb Bacon did have to be taken out of the game. He was ultimately taken into the locker room. As of right now, we don't have any clear answers. It seems that it was a knee injury of some sort, or like I said, we don't know the exact answer yet, so I won't speak on it as like a definitive, but obviously that was kind of a big hit to the team. As like I said, you guys have been there. What does that do to a team when you have such a key guy end up having to leave the game? Does that impact the team? Have you seen it impact where it kind of like, does it defeat the team? Does it kind of take out the energy moving forward? How does a team move forward when you have someone like that have to leave the game?
It's tough. I feel like I was always the guy getting hurt, though. So I don't really know a ton about the other side. I was normally the guy that was in the treatment room, Newell as well. So, but really, I know first and foremost, I hope Caleb's doing all right. Injuries are awful. They are not fun, physically and mentally. It's very challenging. You work all that time for off season, winter training, winter workouts, spring ball, all those things that are not fun. And you're doing those things for that first game, and to get injured early too. it's not fun. So I hope he's really doing all right. But for the other guys, you got to kind of take that, and you're going to think about it a little bit in the back of your head. You're like, oh man, we just lost our starting linebacker. Not fun, but you got to put that behind you and just keep going to work. That's all you really can do. There's still a job at hand, and I'm sure all those boys were consoling with him today. So
Yeah, I sure hope Bacon's all right. And for the other guys, it's really just next man up. Everybody's got to be ready. I've always thought that even as a backup, train and prepare like you're going to be a starter. So if something like that, God forbid, it does, but if something like that does happen, you're ready, and you might get your opportunity. Like Brock Purdy, everybody knows his story. He came in and quarterback got hurt, and look at him now. So like, always just get ready for your opportunity, and be ready for it, because when it comes, you don't want to miss it.
Absolutely. Hoping for the best for Caleb, just like these guys. Nothing but good news. No one ever says anything bad about that guy. So it's always really hard when you have a guy that does all the right things. It's bad when anyone gets hurt, but he's done all the right things. He's worked his ass off to get right. And what people don't think about a lot of times is the mental wear and tear it takes on somebody when they get injured.
it's brutal.
You sacrifice everything to be able to go out there and do what you love. It's really hard, especially when you're positioned like he was, where he was the leader of that defense. I'm sure he wore a lot of that weight on his chest when he was thinking he wasn't able to be out there with his guys. But he's also got himself to take care of too. So I'm hoping he's doing well. But yeah, I think kind of like Jirehl alluded to, the Brock Purdy story, right? We had Kyle Kemp come off of an incredible season in 2017, walk on. Caleb Bacon was a walk on. Rose to some stardom, had some really good successes. And then all of a sudden, hey, you get that injury week 2. Kyle's was week 2 of 2018. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, how do we rally around this guy? I think that's one thing that Coach Campbell does an incredible job, is rallying around those guys to make sure that they're loved and cared for and know that they're still a part of this team and a huge aspect of why we're going to win. But also getting people to buy into saying, hey, like, just because we're down a guy, we still have a great team. And that means everyone else is going to have to do just a little bit more to make themselves ready, to get ready, and to make themselves right. Maybe someone can have to step up into a leadership role and emerge as that guy that's going to be that vocal, but also the guy who's going to run out front and say, we're going into war here. So I'm excited to see who kind of steps into that role. I hope Caleb can be back. I'm hoping we can be optimistic about it. But no matter what, I'm excited to see who kind of steps into that role and really takes ownership of that position.
Yeah, and knees are weird. Like, no, what didn't you have a knee in camp? What was that, 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah, against in overtime against UNI. So
yeah,
not having to play overtime games is a good thing.
Right. No, but knees can be weird. I mean, you never know. So, I mean, I unfortunately got the bad side of knees. Well, it could have been worse, but yeah, the knees are not fun. If it is his knee, I don't even know if it is his knee. You just never know. But yeah, it's not fun. But it is an opportunity for someone to come in here and take leadership of this defense. I mean, Will McLaughlin was also not playing yesterday, so it'll be nice to have him back as well. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. That's where great stories are made, where someone steps up and leadership for sure. I know Caleb, just talking with some of the guys, that he was a big time leader in that locker room. So it's another leadership opportunity. So it's some good things can come from it. So as bad as it is.
So are you guys in? I mean, this is kind of I don't know how to describe it, the question, but are you guys concerned about the defense, like looking ahead to week 2, right? Like, again, we don't know what's going to happen with Caleb. We don't know if he'll be there or not. But let's say he's not playing, is there a concern there? Like, how do you look at Iowa State and their defense heading into week 2? Like, what are you thinking when you think of these injuries and how the team's going to battle those? Do you have concerns with linebacker? Like, what's going through your head on that one?
I personally don't. When you got Coach Haycock on your team, I feel like you're going to have a good position. He's such a good – Coach Haycock just is an unbelievable man too. He does a great job of empowering people, making them confident, playing confident, and then putting them in positions to be successful. whether that means tweaking something a little bit or whatever it may be. Obviously, we'll see and learn more as the week goes on here. But I think Coach Haycock, when you got him on your team, you're always going to have a really, really good shot to be able to make adjustments. And we got a lot of talented guys. Like what coaches has done is recruiting the last couple of years. They recruit really good players, and we got a lot of really good players at linebacker. Obviously, we don't have another Caleb Bacon, but who knows who that is going to be able to step up into a role, be empowered because they got great guys, great teammates, great coaches around them to empower them, make sure that they're confident and ready to roll. So when you got Coach Haycock and his staff on your team, I'm certainly confident in our defense's ability to go out there and perform next week and going forward.
Yeah, I have no worries. Like Noel said, when you have Coach Haycock leading the helm, I think he's just going to put you in the right position. And as a player, you just got to go out there and play the game. And that's what I think Coach Haycock does the best at, is just putting players in the position just to go out there and play freely and just, do what they do best. And that's just play football.
Yeah, I think, defense is tricky sometimes. It always will be. But really what I took away from that is, like these guys are saying, not worried. Coach Haycock is the man. So that's far from my worries. But it really is a good opportunity to learn from that film, because you're now playing a team next week that is going to do pretty much the same thing. It might not be a different scheme, but I was built on 3 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, just trying to build a drive up. And so you can really take this and as a positive and learn from it and know that you're probably going to get similar style play next weekend. So you can make adjustments, but you got to get off the field. And that's the defense's mantra is get off the field. Third downs, North Dakota converted really well on third down, which I was impressed by, but got to get off the field, and I know they'll get it right.
So something people were really excited about when we announced this podcast was being able to talk about the offensive line. So let me know your thoughts. What were your thoughts? What is your analysis about how the offensive line performed in their first test?
Jirehl, you got than we do as players.
Say that.
Why don't you start us off as a running back? What did you see?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
No, I mean, just with the opportunities that were given, especially with time of possession, I didn't think that there was that many run plays especially that we see in a first game. When I think it was like 18 run plays, probably. But just from those run plays, I thought that the O-line was doing exactly what they needed to do. I think they were getting a little bit of a push up front. There was obviously some plays that just kind of got blown up a little bit, but you'll have those in the first game. From a running back's perspective, I thought the running backs did a really good job getting the yards that needed to be got. Obviously, in the first game, Abu, we talked about the hurdle already. I think he's showing tremendous athleticism. I think he's going to be another Breece Hall in a way. But Carson Hansen showed some really good things. And then even at the end of the game, I think Dylan Lee showed a really good explosive running style that I think will be really good for this offense.
Yeah, my opinion was obviously pass protection I thought looked really good. Kept Rocco clean, gave him a lot of opportunities to get out there and sling some stuff around. We got a lot of talented receivers and quarterback. We know that. We saw that, especially week 1 here. So I think overall performance, I liked it. I think that I saw signs of improvement from last year, which you always hope, hey, how did we look this year compared to last year? And we kept it pretty simple. We didn't get into anything too crazy. We didn't show a ton of different run styles or anything like that, and just a limited number of reps. Right? Abu, I think, had 5 carries yesterday. I have to imagine when we get into Big 12 play and games that are a little closer in feel, that number will significantly increase, and obviously that helps offensive line even look a little better too. So. I think 7-8 guys maybe played on the offensive line yesterday, so it's good to see we have depth. We haven't always had that. There weren't many games when I was playing that we even played 6 guys. So seeing that we had 7 or 8 guys that we felt like could go out there, make an impact, put what they need to on film to say, hey, how are we going to get our 5, 6, 7 best guys in the game every game was something that I thought was really good. And going forward, I think it's just going to be one of those things that, hey, how do we make sure that we can continue to get movement up front? No major misblown assignments that I saw. So that was good. No pre-snap penalties that I recall either. So a lot of really good things. I think we'll continue to clean that up. But, I think overall it was pretty good. But I think as we go through the season, we're going to see some more run plays that are going to be added into the playbook, open it up a little bit more. And then just getting some of that consistency back, not losing time of possession by that much, where we can build some stamina, wear that defense out will be really good for the offensive line going forward as well.
Yeah, I thought they played pretty good, honestly. I was pretty impressed. Like Noel said, I didn't see any glaring issues, which is always what you're looking for in game one. You missed assignments, stuff like that, missed twist pickups, but I thought they looked pretty in tune with each other, which is another huge thing. And you start off with a new center, which no bad snaps, so that's a win. And you start off, it's tough too. So he's a 6-year, he's in the middle, he's making the calls. That's huge. That's a lot of help. That's what Newell was when Newell was the center. I was out there as a redshirt freshman, and Newell would just tell me where to go. And so when you have a veteran guy like that and playing center, it makes everything a lot easier. You do get in some guys, and I love playing offensive linemen. First game of the year, I love trying to get as many guys in as you can because someone's going to get injured. It happens with every team in the country. It's just the nature of play with the offensive line. So to get guys game experience, Tyler Morrow was in there a good amount, and I thought he played pretty well. You start Dylan Barrett, Wisconsin transfer, which was cool to see. And I thought he played really well too. He's a big dude, and you stand next to him, you're like, oh my gosh, that guy is a big dude. And just different things. Kept it basic. Good. I thought we ran the ball pretty efficiently. Honestly, we just didn't get a lot of opportunities to see a whole lot. So pass pro is good. So I think Clayton's got those guys dialed in this year. So it's all about growth, though. It's how you can take week one and just continue to grow exponentially throughout the year. So that's what you got to look for. But yeah, overall, good day from the line, I thought.
One thing to keep in mind, too, as the season goes on is we're going to see probably 5 or 6, maybe 7 guys that are continually playing. So they're going to get more reps of film watching. Hey, we're going against this defense. Defense has changed every week, obviously. Mm-hmm. So seeing how they continue to grow together, those guys that are going to be playing every snap, things like that. But rotating is so important because offensive line is a physical position where you're getting rolled up on, you're getting bumped, bruises, fingers are breaking, thumbs are getting jammed, wrists are getting jammed, whatever it may be. So having depth at that position is so vital because it is so hard to make it through a season where you're getting ankles rolled up on. You're a huge human being. You're overweight, really. Your body doesn't like that, and you just
wake up in the mornings a little tough.
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher to get your butt out of bed those mornings when
they got it hard, man. The offensive linemen, all the linemen got it hard.
But that's something that's so big. Seeing guys, if we can get 10 reps off a game where you got someone who can come in and be serviceable, get reps so when their time is called that they're ready. But if over 12 games, that's 120 reps. That's like a game and a half, 2 games of reps that you're saving on your body. So when it's key time down the stretch, you're ready to roll.
I agree completely. You even had a young guy, Trevor Berg, get in there. That's cool to see. The first game in your career in the Jack. It's always fun. It's way better than getting thrown in there like I did against Texas Tech in 2020. Thinking you're going to play, and then you play the whole game. So it's really good to get guys in there. They know their moment's coming. They get told on the sidelines like, "Hey, we're going to put you in." I think mid-second quarter or something like that. So you get something to look forward to a little bit. But it's good to get those goosebumps or not goosebumps, the butterflies out of the system. Especially at offensive line, because you can do everything right and no one says anything, and you could go out there and you could totally whiff and everyone knows. So it's good to get those kind of things out of the way.
And we got 2 guys that are going to be coming back from injury here, hopefully too soon. So if
Sure.
you got 2 guys that we were able to say, hey, we can go out there and trust them, that's really exciting, really, really exciting. So I thought they had a really good day. I think we're going to see even another jump in the offensive line play next week. But I think it was a phenomenal start to the season.
Do you guys know how much weight you've lost since you last played?
Yeah, 40 pounds for me right now.
I'm like 45.
We're getting there. We're still working a little bit.
I weigh the exact same as the last day I walked out of the building.
I was expecting you to say something like that.
It does make it a lot easier moving around. The knee pains are not as bad anymore. So
No, not at all. Not at all.
it's funny.
Yeah, I was kind of already at walk around weight for myself. Not these guys. We appreciate your sacrifice, though. Keeping those pounds on y'all.
It wasn't too much of an issue for me, man. I just ate.
Remsburg loves ketchup, guys, too. So that
love ketchup.
More ketchup than anybody
loves. Absolutely loves ketchup. So
yeah,
somebody get him a deal with Heinz.
Yeah.
I love it. So as guys who know Matt Campbell, he's big on coach speak, right? It's all we tend to hear in some of those press conferences. If you had to guess, what do you think his message was to the team when they got into the locker room? What do you think he said to those guys?
He probably, if I could guess, Friday night or something, he shared some poem or something he had on his mind. So I guarantee you he referenced something to some poem or something that he had for Friday night for the guys. He's going to tie it all back together. But no, really, he probably got in there and, like we were saying earlier, it's hard to win football games. I'm sure you mentioned something about that, but it's really, it's about learning and taking lessons from game 1 and moving them to game 2. And he probably would have said something like, we know who we got next week. And so this week is crucial. It starts really right after the game. Started today, Sunday. So, he always said, the Cyhawk game, it's one throughout the week. It's not just one on Saturday. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think exactly that. I mean, he probably went into the locker room and basically told them what we were saying. Just got to take the look at the film, take it and learn from it. The film doesn't lie. The film will tell you the truth every time. So just watch it and make sure you see what you need to improve on and see what we as a team need to improve on. And we'll come back tomorrow and figure it out. They probably had a walkthrough today to talk through any of the missed plays or formations or anything that they had yesterday. So I think it was just, you're always happy to get a win and just taking it and, moving on to the next week.
Yeah, I think they hit it there. I think he always has a really good read on what the team vibe is, right? So if guys are feeling down because we just went out and won a football game, we got to realize it's hard to win football games. Making sure that we're confident going into next week, but I'm sure Remy's probably spot on there. I'm sure he referenced something that he said the night before, which is always good stuff. Like, it is incredible stuff. There's so much
great.
Yeah,
I got
some of them saved on my.
I got some of them saved on my notes, and I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic little poem. Like,
you go through life, you have these hard times and good times, and you can always think dang, I can remember Coach. You start thinking how Coach Campbell says stuff, and it's kind of crazy how. You actually, now that I'm getting down to the working world,
right?
Successful people, a lot of them say very similar things to how Coach Campbell speaks. So it's kind of cool to see oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to Coach Campbell in this situation. I don't know if you guys have run into that at all, but I
feel like, I feel like I always have a little Coach Campbell voice in my head, going through my everyday situations of life.
And I feel like just being under Coach Campbell and being around him and being in the meetings and everything, you hear him so much that you almost turn into Campbell when you talk to people. You'll start using the same things that he was saying.
Oh, 100%. He'd be the
I
grocery
was
store.
literally
You
just
just
gonna
turn.
say. I was gonna say
Yeah, I mean,
when you get interviewed, we can. It's obvious to us. We're
media training
interviewing
is
you
literally
guys.
just listening to him. Media training is
That's
just listening to
awesome.
Coach Campbell in meetings. That's all it is.
No, like I said, we can tell. We can tell. So I love it. So obviously next week, Cyhawk. I don't really care what anyone says or what people want to argue. At the end of the day, it's a big game. It means a lot to the people of Iowa. There's a certain level or like weight to it, right? That means just something different. I don't want to say it means more because obviously Big 12 plays a whole different ballpark, but it obviously means something a little different because at the end of the day, it's still an in-state rivalry. So when you look at the Cyhawk week 2, how do you think Campbell approaches this game? You know, how are you preparing for this? How is it different? And for you guys, you know, did you prepare differently? Is there a way to prepare differently when you go into something like this?
I feel like when you go out of what you usually do and try and prepare like differently for a game like this, you tend to mess yourself up. You know, especially, I mean, just as a player, I felt like I just prepared the same way that I would any other game. Yes, it's a big game, but I always thought like it's a big game because it's the next game. Like, and obviously there's the lore of it being the Cyhawk game on the outside, but truly when you're in that building, it's just about being the next game, and that's kind of all it is.
Yeah, one thing that people I'm sure they do understand, but you don't really understand the magnitude of like as athletes and in the football program, we're all creatures of habit. Throughout the summer, we all wake up, we work out at the same time, Monday through Friday. Saturday, whatever you may have, it's all the same. So when all of a sudden they've been going through camp since early August now, they've been waking up, they've been doing practice, they've been going to film, they've been doing this. When all of a sudden you throw that all out of whack because of one thing, you're setting yourself up for your whole body's regulation of habits to be just a little bit changed. So it's obviously one of those things where it is a big game, right? We all know that, especially if you grew up around the game. It's a huge game, but it's the next game. That's why it's a huge game too. So I think that you have to make sure that people know about the history, all that. But we are also creatures of habit, and for us to be the most successful we can be, people are typically better off when they continue to practice their habits rather than going out and say, hey, I got to go win this game right now by all of a sudden tweaking what I've been working my butt off all off season for.
Yeah, then they're spot on, both of them. In the building, nothing should change. Every game should be the most important game, or your next game should be the most important thing. But I will say, you know, waking up for Tuesday practice, a little bit easier when it's the Cyhawk week. Waking up for Wednesday practice, a little bit easier. So you control, you keep everything the same, the details, meetings, everything. You're preparing like a normal game, but I mean, when you're driving to practice and you know it's the Cyhawk week, you can't help but get a little fire going, a little extra juice for practice that week. So I always, at least that was my perspective. So
is that what makes it easier? Is that you're just a little amped up differently?
You get the season's so long, you have to take advantage of those little things, those rivalry things to get you through those weeks. Because I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday practice, those aren't fun by any means. So you're trying to find any little thing that gets you a little bit more psyched up, a little more juiced, ready for practice. So I'm sure they'll have more juice than probably last week preparing for North Dakota. But
Jake, I don't ever think I've ever seen you without a little bit juice.
I always got juice, man. But just take my juice, you know, scale. And if it's always at a 9, it's gonna be a 9.5 for the Cyhawk week. Like
Absolutely,
it's the same because of how much caffeine this guy consumes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
He's always drinking an energy drink.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I was juiced. I was juiced for every game though. What am I saying? Like every practice I was ready to roll. But yeah, especially when you know early in the season, something to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you guys have any good memories going to Iowa City?
Yeah, Jirehl. How about you hit on that, Jirehl? How many yards you rush for?
What do you mean?
How many yards last time we
was-
were over in Kinnick?
I don't know. It was 100 something.
100 something.
Casual.
It was like 100, 104, 106, something like that.
Mm.
I don't know. I was just trying to get up out of there. I was just trying to get up out of there. Hey, I remember one of my times in Kinnick, I watched Saquon Barkley rush for like 100 something against him too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Will you guys be in Iowa
like
City for
that
the
place.
game?
I will not know, but I mean, I was hurt the one year we even went over to Iowa City. I think that 2022. So I was in street clothes, but it's a fun place to play. At the end of the day, it's loud. The fans are right on top of you. So it's a fun place to play. I tell you, the hotel was not very good last time, so I think I remember, I don't know, something wasn't good, and I pretty much ate Uncrustables for 12 straight hours before the game. So, but it's a fun place to play. I loved playing on the road. It didn't matter where it was. I felt like it's always fun to have a little extra people yelling at you and all that. It's fun for me. So, but Kinnick's a fun place to play in. Yeah.
Not all road stadiums are created equally, though, or even close to it.
Right.
For fan interaction, at least. What you're gonna expect on the sideline, what you're gonna expect for how much space you're gonna expect.
Right.
The food,
100%.
especially like Remy was saying, like
the food is always the criteria.
Hotels can
Always.
get iffy.
It's crazy.
Best hotel food that you guys had.
Oh. I don't even know. It's been a little bit now for me, but
TCU was pretty good. When we stayed, I can't remember. We stayed in like
TCU
downtown
back.
Dallas.
Yep, in 2020.
Bro, I remember we had Thanksgiving dinner. I think it was before the Texas game, maybe.
TCU was always good.
Lovely.
The horror story of Kansas State last year was not good. Yeah, we had.
You guys stayed at the same hotel?
No, we had a different one for K-State this year, and Coach Vite was out there flipping omelets for breakfast. Let's just say that. So had to go to the grocery store. I think it wasn't good.
I feel like I heard about this.
Yeah, it was. The picture of Coach Vite went kind of viral.
Didn't people? Oh, wait a minute. Was that the game people got like food poisoning?
No,
that was an Ohio game.
We just really didn't have any.
Oh yeah, that was the Ohio game.
I bet Coach Vite could make a fire omelet though.
Oh, you got it dialed up, man. I mean, I would trust Coach Vite to make anything.
You mean the Gateway wasn't the top of your list?
Oh, Gateway's. That's honestly one of the top of my list. I love the Gateway Friday night meals. I was just thinking that like on Friday night, I'm like, oh, I could go for some Gateway chicken parm right now. I tell you what.
Chicken parm.
I'm sure Aiden is scolding us for how long we've been going, but I worked at Gateway for years, so I could recite your Friday night dinner by heart. I know exactly
perfect.
what's on that buffet line.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's beautiful.
It's really good.
The meal does not matter what time of day it is. It's always the same thing too.
Yep.
I was always
spaghetti for breakfast.
I was going to say
spaghetti for breakfast.
Spaghetti for breakfast.
11:30 game spaghetti for breakfast.
Yeah, spaghetti right at 6 a.m. You can't beat that.
Oh, good times. Any final thoughts, guys?
It's gonna be a good week. I'm excited. Good opportunity for the Clones. It's a fun week, so they should enjoy it. But I mean, final thoughts. If our offense can keep throwing it out like that, it's gonna be a fun year for not only the players. It's fun when you can do stuff like that and just have big chunk plays. But for fans, I mean, we're only gonna get better. So it's gonna be a fun year.
Beat Iowa.
Yeah, man. Beat Toe.
Yep, Toe. For anyone that doesn't know, it's Team Out East. So
Team Out East.
Thank you for the clarification.
Got a large dislike for them.
Yeah, beat the Hawks, right?
Beat the Hawks.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm super excited about us podcasting all season. I think it's going to be a really good season for us. And as always, we have to thank our sponsors, Iowa State University, Ivy College of Business. They're huge supporters of what we do at Cyclone Fanatic. And of course, our presenting sponsor, Wyffels Hybrids. So huge shout out to those guys who are huge supporters of everything we do here, especially this podcast that brings you Colin, Jake, and Jirehl to talk Iowa State football all season. So we'll be back next Sunday after the Cyhawk, and hopefully we'll be talking about a win. So
Absolutely.
we'll talk to you
Go
guys
2-0,
next week.
man.